Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing yet another Mazda CX-90, but this one has the higher output version of the Inline-6, and so I'm excited to see how this powertrain performs. Before we begin this video though, a huge shout out and thank you to the Tim Daly Mazda here in Southtown, Utah for giving me some time with this CX-90. I'll include a link to their website in the description down below so you can check out what they have currently. And then on a side note, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. Powering this CX-90 is a turbocharged 3.3 liter inline-6 that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Now, power outputs with this version are 340 horsepower and then 369 pound-feet of torque, with fuel economy being 23 around town and then 28 on the highway. Now, before we go over the front end, I do want to mention, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. So starting with the hood, you guys can see that it's just like flat there in the center and then kind of falls off on either side, but really sharp lines. It gives it like a muscular appearance with the hood. So I think the daytime running light setup looks pretty sweet. Notice how it kind of like goes into the grille a little bit. We do have some parking sensor action here as well. And then I like this piece down below. That looks pretty good. And then look at the grille with how vertical it is and all blacked out. Got the Mazda logo, and then you guys can see the silver trim there at the bottom. So putting it all together, seeing the CX-90 in white with some black accenting, I'm a much bigger fan of the styling. Like, I first liked it, but now I really like it. Now, coming around the side, our tire wheel setup is 275, 45, 21 in the front and over in the rear as well. And you guys can see here with the wheel design, I think it looks absolutely fantastic. It really pops, kind of looks like a bunch of little knife edges. Now with this version of the CX-90, we actually have body painted fender flares, then of course inline-6 here on the side, and then notice like the silver trim there, it actually says Mazda at the end, and then there is more silver trim around the windows. Now taking a look at the full side profile here, yeah, I think with the wheels and in the white paint, it makes more sense with the design. So we've got Mazda's normal key fob here for the CX-90, so you've got like your unlock lock function, opening for the hatch, you know, all the normal stuff. Now popping into the rear, we've got quite a bit of storage space with the third row folded down, as you can see, and got some outlet action here in the back. But getting the third row up is really easy. We'll just pull up one side, just get the strap, and then you just have to lift up the headrest yourself, so they made it simple. And for those of you wondering, there's actually quite a bit of storage space behind the third row with the third row folded up. But anyways, when you're all done, just press that button and that will lower the hatch right back down. Now here are the taillights for the CX-90. Again, really cool design. I like how we have our E-Sky Active G badge, and then you guys can see CX-90 all-wheel drive there on the other side. Parking sensors here at the bottom as well. And putting it all together, I know I've said this like 50 times in this video, but the design now makes way more sense to me with this package. Now popping inside, we've got some nice features. So first off, sunshades here, and then I love the material use throughout. There's lots of different textures, and just it all pulls together. It looks really good. Now popping to the seats, they're definitely a lot more conservative with the design, but we do have a little strip down in the center portion. Now legroom here in the second row is great. Got a little storage pocket right here. Got some vent action, and then you can see the USBs, and notice we got heated and ventilated seats back here, as well as our own climate zone. And then this one has the like center console here in the center, so we got some cup holders, and then we can open this up. Got some storage space there. And then I really like the trim. Feels really premium, that's for sure. And then headroom back here is also really good. Now in the third row of the CX-90, you can see legroom is pretty typical for the segments. If you want tons of legroom, you get like, you know, larger SUVs. Anyways, we've got USB action, got some cup holders, and then headroom back here is really good. Now taking a look at the front door panel, the design is the same as the rear. Really like the trim. That looks so sweet. Anyways, got all of our window controls, and the tactile feel on them is really solid. Your mirror adjustments, mirrors do power fold in, and then there is blind spot monitoring with the mirrors too. And then taking a look at the front seat, you guys can see again with little strip in the center, perforated all down the center as well. We've got our power adjustments here on the side. And then you've got your function here for the memory seat down below for the hatch. And you guys can see for like the parking sensors, for example, your traction control, that's for the safety tech. And then the steering wheel is power adjustable. So taking a look at the steering wheel, really nice material use all around. And judging by this design, I'm guessing they're doing different trim with different packages with the steering wheel. But regardless, you can see we've got adaptive cruise control with steering assist, got controls for the center stack. Do have paddle shifters in the back, but they're pretty hidden, like you can't really see them from the driver perspective, but you gotta trust me, they are there. And then you can see we've got a turn signal light stock and our windshield wiper stock. Now we've got the CX-90's new digital gauge cluster here in the center. I think it looks fantastic, and you can see a bunch of different info here on the car systems within the car, you know, pretty standard stuff overall. But it's not so standard as the drive mode select. So you got like this cool animation, and then notice for the off-road mode, fully changes, and then we pop into the sport mode, another cool animation, and again, it'll change the gauge cluster. Now this does also come with a 360 camera system, so you can see we've got trajectory lines that turn with the steering wheel out of the back view, and then you also have that top view as well. And so from, you know, a camera perspective, really solid. Now as for the rest of the infotainment system, it's not a touchscreen, you just control everything via a dial. But you know, once you get used to it, it's frankly pretty simple to use, but I will say there's a little bit of a learning curve to it. So the dash here is all padded. Now this is interesting. I love the design though. It has this very unique look, and look at like the vent there in the corner as well. That's cool. So we've got our dual zone climate controls here, heated and ventilated seats, heated steering wheel, and then down below that, charging area is what we'll call it. I love the coloration on this. I think that looks very solid. And then drive mode select, again, nice tactile feel. And then you got the new shifter, which is kind of interesting, but it's pretty easy to get used to. Hill descent control, that's just for the camera system. And then this is the control for the infotainment system. It's got the parking brake right next to it with the auto hold. And then the center console, pretty standard setup. Again, nice trim on it. And then with the glove box, lined with felt. And then yeah, look at this metallic trim. That goes across, that's really nice. And then at the very top, we got a sunglass holder here, and then a full panoramic sunroof. So here's our window sticker for this CX-90. This one has the Premium Plus package, for those of you that are wondering. Now, base MSRP on this one is just under $60,000, but after destination and all of that, total MSRP is $61,920. Let's see how it drives. Well, let's talk about visibility before you set off. Here's visibility of the hood, heads-up display as well. You can see through both of the mirrors, through the rest of the rear. And setting off in my maiden voyage in the CX-90. Get ready for the first unbiased CX-90 review, because everyone obviously has their reviews from Mazda's event where they got their fancy $1,000 per night hotel stays and all that other crap that journalists get that people seem to forget about. And don't worry, it doesn't affect their opinion at all. They're completely unbiased. Now, first off, you know, initially setting off, seat comfort's really good. And, you know, I think I like about these seats is you could still be like maybe a bigger person, still fit in these seats relatively well. So that's good. I like the feel of the material too. Like a lot of the touch points here are really good. I will say the one touch point is kind of iffy is here on the door panel where you rest your arm. It's not something you usually touch your hand though, it's usually just your elbow. It's soft enough for your elbow, but I will say it's not as nice as like the center console touch point, for example. Now some other stuff. This engine, I feel like it sounds different than the inline-6 and the base inline-6. At least it kind of seems like that. I just drove the base inline-6 yesterday. And this one's almost like a little bit rowdier, not in a bad way though. I think it's in a good way. Now this, I guess, will be a good test of the suspension because this road is bumpy as can be. It is pretty beat up from construction stuff. Yeah, the suspension's handling it pretty well. This has really good torque. Pop into the sport mode. Yeah, I love the animation. Ooh, instantly got way more aggressive. I actually like the turn signal sound. It's got a nice, like, substantial sound. It's a weird thing to mention, but okay. Ooh. Man, this is good for this segment. Wow. That's pretty fun. Let's see what the paddles are like. Smooth. Yeah, just like the CX-90 that I drove yesterday, it's smooth. something that I do remember. This engine's kind of peaky, to be honest. Like it's got a bit of turbo lag, and then you get into it, so it kind of adds to the thrill. It still has Mazda driving dynamics, though, I'm noticing. Like it's still, you can tell with the steering, it still feels like you feel pretty connected to the vehicle. And oh yeah, the handling feels good too. Yeah, I wouldn't pop it back in automatic mode, just let it do its thing. But this thing's fun. It's actually fun to drive for a 3-row crossover. And that was the thing about the CX-9, right? Is, you know, it didn't necessarily have the most power, but it was fun. This thing has power now, and it's fun. Like, you get the best of both. It handles really good. Yeah, this is great. Now, I will say, for this segment, it's really impressive with the ride quality, but like, I wouldn't say like full-on luxury car. And what I mean by this is, like, if you compare this to any car in this price range, and frankly, any luxury car that's under $100,000, this holds up amazingly well. But once you go over $100,000, this doesn't have like the suspension comfort that those cars will have. But again, like, that's the fact that I'm even having to say that just shows like how solid this is. So if you basically want, and Mazda's always offered, like, well, not always, but recently, right, they've offered a luxury experience at a non-luxury price, and this still provides that. But the other thing that I really like about this CX-90 is that it like takes that luxury feel that you get in Mazdas normally and takes it to the next level. So really impressed. Let me know what you guys think about the CX-90. And, you know, I'm thinking that Mazda's going to have a pretty big come up because their cars are super reliable. Seriously, ask anyone that owns a Mazda. Super reliable. And you've got interiors like this, and you've got performance. Like, I don't see the point in buying like a Highlander or a Pilot. And I'll post comparisons, but like, why would you buy those when this thing exists? But let me know what you guys think.